This Friday, July 17th, marks the North American release of Set 10, Rise of the Unison Warrior. With new strategies and support for old favorites, there is a ton to be excited about, and Set 10 is well poised to make a huge impact on the meta of DBS, and the introduction of its new Unison Cards could shape the way the game is played from here on out. But before we can dive into what changes we can expect to see in the DBS metagame, we need to understand how to wield our new cardboard weaponry. Let's look at the two new mechanics of Set 10, Rise of the Unison Warrior. To get the easiest one out of the way first, let's begin with Unique. Unique is a battle card mechanic which prevents you from playing more than one copy of a unique battle card at a time. Unique replaces a clunky old clause on older cards like Beerus Biding His Time, which reads, only one Beerus Biding His Time can be played in your battle area. So this mechanic is pretty easy to understand, as it's really just a simple drawback. The idea being that more powerful cards like Birder, Fastest in the Universe, can be more aggressively costed if they can't be spammed to the board. Battle cards with Unique also can have game warping effects like Son Goku Absolute Annihilation. In short, if a card has Unique, you can only have one copy of it on the board at a time, and that's for good reason. So what does this mean for deck construction when we want to include cards with Unique in our decks? Well, here's where Unique can get more complicated. Because unlike Ultimate, you can include more than one copy of a card with Unique in your deck, and very often will want to. You just can't play more than one copy at a time. This means that maxing out on copies of a card with Unique could leave you in some dicey gameplay situations, wherein you only needed one more battle card to help push for game or clear a threat, and you simply can't play it due to the game's mechanics. So, we are looking at running 1 to 3 copies of a card with Unique in any given deck. Where exactly that number ends up for a particular card in your deck is ultimately up to you, but here are a few things to consider. How important is a card with Unique to my deck's strategy? Or maybe, how often do I want to see this card? If the answer is very important, or you want to see that card every game, consider running 3 copies, but be prepared for the occasional clunky opening draw. Of course, charging the extra copies of your Unique battlers for energy is a good plan, but don't think it will always be your best move. Now for the big one, Unison Cards. Unison Cards are an entirely new type of card to DBS, and have a ton of exciting and impactful abilities. But for as powerful as these cards are to play, to know how to use them can get a little bit confusing. So let's break it down. Unison Cards function much like Planeswalkers from Magic the Gathering, but with a few key differences. The first and most important being, you can only have one in play at a time. You can place extra copies of a Unison underneath a Unison already in play to add a counter, but you can never have more than one Unison in play, even if they have different names. If you play a Unison card with a different name than the one you already have in play, the old one goes to your drop area. But secondly, and more excitingly, Unison cards can attack, and sometimes even block, adding a new dimension to the gameplay of the Planeswalker style of card. So let's get into how to use them. Unison cards have X as their energy cost, but typically have a specified cost associated with them, meaning you can pay any amount of energy for Vegeta Elite Unison, so long as you pay at least 2 red. When a Unison card enters play, it enters play with a number of markers equal to the amount of energy spent on it, including the specified cost. Unless otherwise stated, like on cards like Super Saiyan Gotenks, Fusion of Friendship, whose auto allows you to play him from the drop with a single marker when milled. These markers function much like the loyalty counters on Magic's Planeswalkers. If a Unison warrior loses combat, it loses a marker. If the card it loses to has double strike, it loses 2 markers, and so on. When the markers on a Unison card reach 0, it's done for, and it's placed in its owner's drop area. Once per turn, you can use one of your Unison Cards' marker abilities. These are effects that either add markers to or remove markers from your Unison in exchange for an effect. As previously stated, Unison Cards have power and therefore can attack, but this gift doesn't come without a drawback. Unlike leader cards or battle cards, when a Unison card is attacked, it does not get a defensive step, meaning if you don't negate the attack, you are going to lose markers. Furthermore, Unison Warriors can be attacked in active mode, so don't think that your Vegito Unison of Might is going to keep your opponent from playing battle cards forever. So how do Unison cards fit into our existing strategies? In my opinion, a good way to think about the role that Unison cards play in your deck is as an extension of your leader. You can't combo with them, and they can't defend themselves. So in my opinion, the best Unison cards are offensive and further your game plan, like Super Saiyan Bardock, Paternal Unison, who makes it more difficult for your opponents to combo out of dangerous swings, and can turn your previously played green 1-drops into free discard 1 please spells, or using Shenron Unison of Calamity's +1 ability to shrink down your opponent's threats and then crash into them with cards like Yamcha at 100% or Yamcha the Desert Hyena for big value. That being said, there are some Unison cards that are incredible to have when your back is against the wall. Mechi Kabura Plotting Revival is one such defensive Unison worth a look. Being able to steal your opponent's biggest threat is huge in a game with very few extant mind control effects. This Goku Black Unison has blocker and can sometimes bottom deck your opponent's threats while helping to protect your own. And the aforementioned Bardock Unison's anti-combo ability works just as well on defense as it does on offense, so long as it's not Bardock himself who needs defending. Overall, Set 10 has the potential to change the way we play DBS from here on out, and I for one can't wait to see what new powerful decks and combos the community can come up with here in the next few months.